Hello, baseball fans. You're watching On Deck with Tyler Redmond.
Hey everybody, and thank you for tuning in tonight. Really do appreciate it. While you're here, do us a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and of course hit the bell for notifications so that you can stay up to date with everything going on here at On Deck, and of course with your Atlanta Braves. One more thing before we get started, don't forget to check out our sponsor. This show is presented by Glenn Smith Chevrolet GMC and Opelika. They're big supporters of us. We really would appreciate it if next time you buy your vehicle, you go to them first. And again, thank you for being here tonight, guys. Really do appreciate it. You guys are awesome to be up this late. We're past midnight and we're here. Wouldn't you know it? So there's a reason we're here, and that's because the Atlanta Braves were absolutely on fire tonight. They win the game against the Giants 13-2. They also take the 4-game series with that win. Huge night for the Braves, and really a great day for the offense in general. But before we talk about the offense and one specific member of the offense, I wanted to highlight one of our pitchers, Grant Holmes, who has only had a few starts. I don't know if he's going to be a staple in the rotation or not, but at the rate he's going, he certainly has an argument. He pitched 7 innings tonight, only giving up 2 earned runs, scrambling 8 hits, also had 6 strikeouts. Luke Jackson had a clean inning tonight, no earned runs for him. That's a nice change of pace. Jimmy Herget finished it off there with no hit inning, no runs inning, no anything inning there in the 9th. So the Braves, all in all, really good night, and it got off to a great start. I'm kind of burying the lead here, but we got to talk about Michael Harris. If you missed it earlier, we actually cut a video earlier today talking about the return of Michael Harris and what that's going to mean not only in the offense, but also defensively. And we really went into depth there. I'd love it if you go check that video out if you have not already. But we're going to talk about him tonight as well, because Michael Harris, we all know what he does at the plate. We all know what he does in the field, and he showed it tonight. I said earlier in that video that when he comes back, he's going to be expected to, hit the ground running. And sure enough, in his first at-bat of the night and first at-bat since being absent for the left hamstring injury, he hits a grand slam into McCovey Cove, which is his first grand slam of his career. You can't really ask for much more than that. He went on to knock in a couple extra runs, or 1 extra run there in the 9th inning as well. So Michael Harris, I mean, what else can we say, right? We said that he was going to have to hit the ground running. He did just that. Hopefully this could be a momentum shifter for the Braves, and for the Braves offense, who have been up and down, to say the least, this year. Tonight, they look great, though. It was not just Michael Harris. Arcia actually kind of got it started off there in the first. He walked with the bases loaded. That knocked in Soler, which led to Michael Harris hitting a grand slam. Matt Olson would hit a solo shot there in the 3rd. Austin Riley would do the same in the 5th. Jared Kelenic was busy tonight. Sean Murphy had a 2-run homer. A lot of homers tonight, which is a nice change of pace for the Braves. We've seen them do that before. It's not like they're incapable. We saw them do it back in 2023. Tonight, they really look like that 2023 team. And it really got started because of Michael Harris. There's no way around that. Michael Harris looked phenomenal, and we cannot say that enough. He looked great tonight, and again, coming off an injury, that's what you want to see. You want to see someone who looks like they've been playing baseball for a couple of weeks, and Michael Harris has been. He was up in AAA for the past week and a half or so. He looked great there. He was 10 for 23 there, and I'm going to be honest with you, when I saw him in the clubhouse here and there, it didn't seem to be bothering him. So I was kind of thinking back then, like, man, he might be ready before that 60-day IL stint, hits its mark. So here we are. Michael Harris looked great again. Grant Holmes looked great. The Giants are probably saying that, look, not our night, and that's fair. Blake Snell kind of kept them in the game for the most part yesterday. Yesterday was a 1-0 game. Today was a 13-2 game. So obviously 2 different scripts there going into today. But all in all, when you look at where the Braves are in the standings, when you look at where they are just health-wise, tonight having Michael Harris back and having the team somewhat healthy is very encouraging. Now, there's still 6 games back in the division. Obviously, the goal would be to take down the Phillies, no doubt there. And before you say, well, Tyler, we've been trying to do that all year, and it's not going to happen. We do have a 3-game set with them coming up after this next series with the Angels. So if all goes to plan, a good showing there with a returning Michael Harris and possibly a returning Reynaldo Lopez could mean good things for the Braves. We will see what happens once we get to that point. But all we can do right now is appreciate what we've gotten so far. The Braves had a 1-0 win in the first game against the Giants. They had a 4-3 win last night, and here we are tonight. They have a 13-2 win over the Giants. They've done it every single way that they can, but tomorrow they're going to try to do it again. They got a 3:45 p.m. start time, so if those of you watching on the replay, you'll hopefully actually get to watch that game. I know these West Coast games are tough sometimes, but tomorrow we got an early afternoon game, so that's nice to see. Followed by right back to 9:30, 9:38 coming up against the Angels on Friday. So big series here with the Giants, a big turning point for the Braves, and I still will stand on this hill that I think the Braves were starting to look like a different team during that Rockies series, right? And, of course, the Rockies series didn't go the Braves' way. They lost that series, but offense was being scored in all of them. You can blame that on Coors Field all you want, but you take what you can get, right? And really that third game where it seemed the pitching just collapsed, the offense didn't. They scored 9 runs in that game, and kind of a similar outing to today. They got there early, and the bullpen and the pitching was able to hold it down today. Grant Holmes, again, looked great, and that's all we can really ask for, because let's be honest, when we were going into today, you had Michael Harris coming back, but you also knew, well, we got Grant Holmes on the mound, and that could be hit or miss. It was a hit tonight, and hopefully anytime he comes back, we'll see a similar outing. But really all we can ask for is that the Braves are competitive, not only for the division, but also the wild card. Right now, they are indeed qualified for the wild card, which to some of you, that may not sound like much. But they are qualified. They have a 2-game lead on the Mets. And before you say, well, Tyler, what does the wild card really mean anyway? That's our ticket to the postseason. So as of right now, that's what we got. The Padres have a 4-game lead on us when it comes to the wild card standings in terms of that second or first spot with the Diamondbacks. They have a 4-game lead on us. That has plenty of time to change if we wanted to take a step up and take a step up. But right now, if we want to win the division and have a bye, which I know some of you guys don't, some of us do, we got to beat the Phillies. We're 6 games back of them. I think either one of those could happen. I think we could obviously take back the lead in the wild card, or we could also take down the Phillies. And before you say it's impossible, we have, I think, another 7 games against the Phillies. We're only 6 games back. Is it a lot to ask to sweep them? Yes, it is, but they haven't exactly played to their best ability lately, and unfortunately, while the Braves have been losing, so have the Phillies. They actually lost tonight. We were, I guess, 8 games back before tonight's game against the Giants. Now we are 6 games back. So we're taking the right steps to get where we need to be. But again, we have to talk about the return of Michael Harris. Cannot be overstated. A grand slam in your first at-bat back is going to put smiles on faces of Braves fans, especially in you're on the West Coast. It's a late game. People are, hoping for the best, and we never seem to do well on West Coast swings. So to get one started off like this is nice. That's all we can really say. Tonight was also, I mentioned Grant Holmes. Tonight was also his first big league win, and man, was he good tonight. And again, 2 earned runs, through 7 innings pitched. You can't really ask for much more out of anybody, much less a guy who's only made a couple of starts this year, is primarily a bullpen guy. And, he seems to be just one of those guys you can pull to do whatever it is you need to do. And Grant Holmes has been great for the Braves to have this year. He's been one of those kind of utility pitchers where you can use him in the pen, or you can use him as a starter. You can use him as long relief. You can use him as short relief. Wherever he can fit, you put him there. And he seems to do his best to fit the need. I think right now he's got a better argument for being the 5th guy or being the sixth guy in the rotation than just about anybody. He's been a consistent hand for the most part. He's had his ups and downs, no doubt about that. But he also hasn't had a consistent role. I think if you give him every fifth day or even every sixth day, he could be a really good arm, at least for the remainder of the year. And why wouldn't the Braves take advantage of that? So we'll see what happens with Grant Holmes, but I've thought it since the first time we saw him and since the first time we saw him start a game that, hey, this guy might be a guy that we can count on at least as a spot starter, right? Because with the injuries we have right now with Reynaldo out, of course, you got Morton, who has been spotty lately. You have Chris Sale, who they don't want to give too many innings to. They have Max Fried, who's just coming back from injury. They have Schwellenbach, but again, you don't want to overuse any of those guys. And, the Braves were on that 6-man or that 6-day rotation kind of extra rest thing that they were doing. The Braves have pretty much said they're off of that now. And I can understand why they don't want to, they don't want to give anything up. They got to kind of put the foot on the gas. And I think a guy like Grant Holmes could be very useful in doing that while also resting your guys when needed. In terms of the pitching schedule, I would hope that we find a way to get Chris Sale at a game against the Phillies here in a couple weeks because, frankly, I want to see how he matches up against the Phillies, and I also want to beat the Phillies. And I think Chris Sale is kind of our best chance to do that. So hopefully that will be the case. Now, we're going to go to break, but when we get back, we're going to go through your comments. It's not going to be a terribly long stream tonight. You guys, thank you for being here. I know it's late, and I really appreciate it. And you could be anywhere. You decided to be here, and I appreciate that. But when we get back, we're going to go through your comments, and then we're going to get out of here. I would imagine this is going to be probably a 45-minute stream, no longer than that. Remember, Super Chats do get you priority. They get you moved to the front of the line. And, of course, anything you want to talk about, pretty much, we're going to talk about it. So, again, thank you for being here. We'll be right back.
Are you ready to save big on a new GMC?
At Glenn Smith GMC in Opelika, you can own one of the best-selling vehicles in the USA. The GMC Sierra pickup is discounted up to $14,500 off. The roomy and comfortable GMC Terrains are up to $8,250 off. And the GMC Acadias with 3 spacious rows and seating for 7, discounted up to $8,000 off. At Glenn Smith GMC in Opelika,
Get ready to smile. Are you ready to save big on a new Chevrolet?
make your way to Glenn Smith Chevrolet. Choose America's #1 compact SUV, the Chevy Equinox, discounted up to $6,500 off. The powerful Chevy Silverados are up to $13,750 off. And the big Chevy Silverado 2500 HDs are discounted up to $6,000 off. Glenn Smith Chevrolet in Opelika.
Get ready to smile.
All right, guys. Again, thank you for being here tonight. Really do appreciate it. You guys are staying up late with us. Not that you had much of a choice with the West Coast swing that the Braves are on. Good news for you again. Tomorrow is a 3:45 p.m. start time. That's Eastern, by the way. So that'll be good for all of us. And hopefully we'll get to see the Braves prior to midnight come tomorrow. Let's go ahead and get into the chat. Jeffrey Humphreys is here. He says, good evening, Tyler, and welcome back, Michael Harris II. Abel Wall says, what's up, Tyler? What's up, Abel? How you doing? Jeffrey also says, Grant Holmes was spectacular. Yeah, I agree. 6 strikeouts across 7 innings, only giving up 8 hits, and only 2 runs. You know, we'll take that really any day of the week, but when your offense decides to go ahead and put up 13 runs, yeah, that looks really good. But that kind of start, again, we'll take from Grant Holmes anytime he'll give it to us. And again, yeah, he was spectacular. He earned his first big league win for sure. Ryan Baker, yeah, they won, man. Wake up. Green Tea says, brought to you by all new Ford Bronco. That's, of course, a reference to the Michael Harris Bronco commercials, but we here are brought to you by none other than Glenn Smith Chevrolet GMC. So go check those guys out. I know we're in direct competition with Michael Harris and his Bronco commercials, but we here at On Deck support Glenn Smith because they support us. Scooter Puff says that blowout win benefits us in so many ways, destroys their pin for tomorrow, and lets ours rest. Hopefully the bats are continuing to get right, and of course, welcome back to Money Mike. Yeah, you're right? The blowout win They had to use members of their bullpen. I believe they went to their bullpen. They took Robbie Ray out in like the first inning, which, take that for what you will. He didn't look like himself at all. But what we can say is, look, their pin tomorrow is definitely going to be dwindled down. Hopefully the Braves could get a 4-game sweep. And to me, I said this earlier today. Somebody was talking to me about this game with Grant Holmes on the mound. I said, look, if we beat them when they had Snell on the mound, I feel pretty good about beating them when they have Robbie Ray on the mound. I didn't expect what we saw tonight, but I'll gladly take it. Abel says, Braves are on fire tonight. Absolutely. Harrison Richards says, if I ever see Elder again, I'm peeling my skin off. Well, hold on. Let's not just start throwing insults out here. I still think Elder has a place on the team. I don't know if it's in the starting rotation. I don't think it is right now for sure. I don't know what it'll be in the future. I think he may be well suited in the bullpen. Depending on how that goes, we'll see. But I definitely think he has a place, although he has not executed to the hopes that I think we wanted or the hopes that the Braves have wanted. And I think the hopes that he wanted, I still think there is a place for him. And anybody that puts in the effort like Bryce Elder does, I think deserves a chance. That said, you can only go so far. Let's see. Road with no path says good game today. Yeah, absolutely. Daniel Berry says, yo, what's up, man? Patrick Rosser says hello. Duck Disciple with the chops. Broglesby says Doc Powers. I need to know what that's a reference to. Yasuke Knight says big game for Michael tonight. Absolutely. Corey Carter says all of a sudden the sky isn't falling anymore. The Braves have 5 starting pitchers going well right now and lead Major League Baseball in homers since the All-Star break. That is a surprising stat. What I will say is, when you have, how many was it tonight? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 homers in one night. That does tend to help. I don't know if it skews it at all, but it does tend to help. I kind of want them to spread out the love a little bit. But I agree with you, right? I mean, just a week ago, it was like, oh my gosh, man, we are falling apart. But I still think there is a little bit of that for sure. I mean, tonight was a great win, and hopefully there are many more to come. But there is still a feeling of, man, we just do not look like ourselves. We don't feel like the Braves. That's starting to change, and I still think that that's partly due to getting someone like a Michael Harris back. And I think when we get a Ronaldo back or we get an Ozzie back, it'll feel just the same, if not better. So I think that we're on that path back, but it was going to take time. I still can't believe, the folks that, we're out here just expecting the team to not have a drop-off when you're down Michael Harris, Ozzie Albies, Ronald Acuna, Spencer Strider, Reynaldo Lopez, and so on, even Max Fried over the past few weeks. You're going to have a drop-off, but you're starting to get those guys back. Fried's back. Harris is back. Pretty soon we'll have Reynaldo back. I saw, Corey, you put down there that Reynaldo was touching 97 on the gun, so he may start Sunday. That'll be nice. Things are starting to course correct, and the Braves are starting to right the ship. The offense is obviously stepping in, but we're also seeing performances out of guys like Austin Riley and Matt Olson. And look, I said earlier in the video about Michael coming back was, look, we didn't peak at the right time last year, and maybe that'll be this will set up the right set of circumstances to get hot at the right time, and maybe, just maybe, we see something to the likes of 2021. It may not look the same, but it may just maybe be. I still think a big boost to the offense is Jorge Soler. Although he didn't do a ton tonight, he did score a run. He's been really good to have in the lineup over the past couple of weeks. And I know in the field is questionable, and we can certainly talk about that, especially considering he left tonight's game with left hamstring tightness as a precaution. Hopefully that's all it is. There is concern there, right? I still think having Michael next to him is going to benefit things. But in terms of the sky not falling, that's our general reaction. But I still think there are plenty of concerns. AJ Minter, we don't know if he's going to pitch again this year, as of right now. We just don't know. We don't know how things are going to go. I am intrigued by all of this. I definitely think this kind of performance against a team like the Giants, is encouraging. We were able to win a game where Blake Snell was absolutely dominant. We were just as dominant on the pitching side of things. So, I mean, that's encouraging, right? And the Giants are, some of you may be thinking a team like the Giants. Come on, Tyler, they're not that great. But, I mean, look, they're right there behind the Mets in the wild card standings. They're not bottom of the totem pole. You know who is at the bottom of the totem pole? The Rockies. And coming off a series loss to them, and being able to beat a team like the Giants the way we did today and the way we've done over the past few days is a nice feeling. I hope that as we go and face a team like the Angels, we can be just as consistent offensively. Hopefully that will be the case. And that will be a nice series, I hope, again, to lead into that series against Philadelphia. Now, that series will be at home, I believe. Unless I'm mistaken, I may be wrong on that. Let me check. I think it actually might be in Philadelphia, so I better check. But either way, no, it's at home. Okay, I was right. So you'll have the Angels, a 3-game set with them, followed by a 3-game set against the Phillies at Truist, which is sure to be packed. That will be a very exciting series, and hopefully we'll see something along the lines of a positive for the Braves. Because look, even if they only take 2 of 3, if they took 2 of 3 right now, I think that's a 1-game back for the Braves, and there'll be 5 games back. They're able to sweep. You get 3. So it'll be interesting to see what happens if they can somehow manage to sweep. We'll see if Reynaldo pitches Sunday. Who pitched today? Grant Holmes pitched today. What am I thinking? Who pitched? Trying to figure out who would be scheduled for that series against the Phillies. I believe Chris Sale would be scheduled if Reynaldo pitches Sunday. I believe Chris Sale would have at least 1 game against the Phillies, which would be nice. Ideally, you have Fried, Sale, and I guess maybe Morton against the Phillies. Maybe even Schwellenbach. I don't know that I'd be opposed to that. So there's a lot of ways that can go. But, again, in terms of the sky falling, there's still a lot to be done. But the fact that the Braves are qualified for the postseason is encouraging. The fact that we had the performance that we did tonight is encouraging. The fact that we've already won the series against the Giants is encouraging. And the fact that the Phillies are not exactly on the hot streak that they once were is very encouraging. It is still in striking distance somehow or another. So, look, and I've said it before, but I don't know that I necessarily want the Braves to win the division and have the bye in the playoffs just because of what's happened over the past couple of years. I may want them to get hot at the right time and stay hot at that time. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Corey Carter says, okay. Green Tea says the NL West is very competitive right now. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The NL West is very competitive right now. The Dodgers only have a 2.5-game lead over the Diamondbacks and Padres. That's why nobody could get Jock Peterson out of Arizona because of that right there. They're still in striking distance of the division and, of course, the playoffs as well. Let's see. Scooter Puff says, could you imagine if the Dodgers get cold and somehow end up missing the playoffs? They're only like 5 games away from that. Yeah, and I mean, we're only 6 games away from taking the division. A lot can happen. We still have, I think, a month and a half just about of regular season play. A lot can happen. A lot of things can fluctuate, and a lot of teams can fall off. So it'll be interesting to see if that is what happens. But for right now, all we can hope for is that the Braves continue to play well. And really, that's all I'm hoping for. The division at this point, I could take it or leave it. If the Braves make the playoffs and they're playing as hot as they've ever been this year, then I'll take it. I'll take my chances with that. And I know that might sound kind of blasphemous for me to say, but look, we've won the division before. We know what it is. This year would be our 7th straight. But we've only had 1 World Series appearance in that time, and it was in 21, where, we won the division, but we weren't a typical division winning type team, right? We fell into a lot of potholes like we have this year, and things came together there at the end, and magical things happened. We all know. That's more along the lines of what I think we are this year. And that's okay, but now's the time where I want to see a 13-2 victory over the Giants. and, you know, a 9-3 win over the Angels or 9-0 win over the Angels. That now's the time for that. And a series sweep tomorrow would be great, especially after we depleted their bullpen today. A 3-game sweep of the Angels, all of a sudden you're on a 7-game winning streak entering the series against Philadelphia at home. That's where you want to be. And of course, you obviously hope they continue to lose, but I'm starting to feel pretty good about this. And I do think the division is possible again. And at one time I didn't. You know, at one time it was like, I don't know. And I was pretty honest about it on here, you know, and really to expect a division win after what we've dealt with and what the Braves have dealt with this year is a lot to ask for. But I definitely think that it is again possible. And the fact that it is even possible with the losses that we've had, we've talked about it extensively over the last week to a lot of your criticism. But again, the fact that the Braves were able to do what they've done with all of what they've lost this season is, I mean, it's phenomenal, and a lot of other teams wouldn't be able to do it. Corey Carter says, the Phillies are going to have to prove they can close us out down the stretch. Yeah, you're absolutely right there. I agree with you completely. I mean, the Phillies are definitely, you know, they're in a different the Phillies won tonight? Did I read that wrong? Google told me wrong. They dang sure did. The Google told me wrong last time, or I read it wrong. It's late, y'all. Give me a break. Give me a break. Yeah, I mean, look, the Phillies are in a different headspace this year for sure. Usually they're the chasers. Now they're the chasees, and we have that going for us now. And in some ways it's good, some ways it's bad, but it's where we are as of right now. Guys, if you would do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell for notifications so that you can stay up to date with everything going on here at On Deck. And, of course, with your Atlanta Braves, we are going to go to break one more time. When we get back, we're going to go through the rest of your comments. And, of course, if you do Super Chat, you will be moved to the front of the line. We're going to answer as many as we can before we get out of here. But, again, thank you for being here tonight. Really do appreciate it.
Are you ready to save big on a new GMC?
At Glenn Smith GMC in Opelika, you can own one of the best-selling vehicles in the USA. The GMC Sierra pickup is discounted up to $14,500 off. The roomy and comfortable GMC Terrains are up to $8,250 off. And the GMC Acadias with 3 spacious rows and seating for 7, discounted up to $8,000 off. At Glenn Smith GMC in Opelika,
Get ready to smile.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Let's jump back into the comments section. Corey Carter says, I really like Whit Merrifield. He's a ball player. I've been wanting the Braves to get him for years because he is smart and can play multiple positions. Rumor on the street is that he really wanted to play for the Braves. We saw a video not too long ago. I guess he was talking to Foul Territory, and they asked him, like, is there anybody else you wanted to play for? He's like, I better not say it because who I'm playing for, which was at the time the Phillies. But he basically said, look, I want to go somewhere closer to home. Home is North Carolina. Put the 2 to 2 together. Here he is in a Braves uniform, and we can only speculate. But yeah, I think he's found his groove in a Braves uniform. I mean, obviously we'd all love to have Ozzie Albies back. No question there. But with Whit Merrifield, he does give you some versatility. He will be a great depth piece once Ozzie does come back. He'd be a great bench bat in the playoffs because he's been there before, and he's been everywhere before. He's a veteran, and like you said, he's a ball player. I really like the addition of Whit Merrifield when Ozzie got hurt. It's like, yeah, Whit has had a rough year, but that is a really good replacement when you lose somebody like Ozzie Albies, right? A guy who can come in, play solid defense, can be a leader without being, without taking over. And I think he's really shown that so far this year. And, yeah, I'm with you. I really like Whit Merrifield. And I like that addition when it happened, too. Guys, remember, please do like the video. It really helps us get this out there to more Braves fans. We'd love you to be a part of the On Deck community. If you haven't already subscribed, please do that as well. Harrison says, Tyler, I got a real question for you. And that sounds bad. When my fiance says that, I run. He says, if standings stay as it is, would you rather get the last wild card seed than the first? We would play Milwaukee and then the Dodgers, while the D-backs or Padres play the Phillies. To be honest with you, I'm more of a head-to-head guy. You know, I'd kind of rather take my chances against the Phillies, which may sound crazy, but it's not like the Brewers are a pushover either, because you know we saw what happened a few weeks ago. We got absolutely smacked by them. I was there for it, and it was ugly. So it's not like they're a knockoff either. I think all these teams, you get them in a playoff scenario, all bets are off. You know, and in terms of who would I rather face, I don't really care. I really just want to make it to the postseason. And, you know, it's a lot to assume that you're going to make it, right? If things stay how they are, right now I'd really rather play the Phillies. They're not playing their best ball. Who's to say what they'll look like come the playoffs? But I'd really like a chance to embarrass them, you know, and face them when they have a bye. I would love that. You know, that's me though. I don't know how the team feels. I imagine that they're competitors and they'd probably like to go stick it to Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber and Trey Turner and, you know, all those guys up there, especially if Spencer Strider was still healthy. Lord knows he would. So I think we built a little bit around facing the Phillies in the playoffs this year. I think that was a big part of the addition of Chris Sale, left-handed strong pitcher with high velocity, which is a rarity in the game. That's going to be good for all the left-handers that the Phillies have to offer. Personally, yeah, I'd rather face the Phillies. And it may be, you know, we're assuming that, you know, we'd face who we'd face, but a lot of things can change. I'd like to face Philadelphia, and I'll stick by that. Even if we lose, I'd rather take my chances with that than take my chances with Milwaukee, who, frankly, in the playoffs, Milwaukee's a dangerous team as much as anybody because Milwaukee knows how to score runs when offense is at a premium. And that's, I think, more dangerous than who can hit a homer. You know, no run is easy to get, but no run is easy to get, especially in the postseason. Milwaukee makes it look really easy. And I'm more fearful of that than I am of Philadelphia. And to be honest with you, I would love it if somehow or another we got to see Milwaukee face Philadelphia in the first round. That would be great. I don't know if we will. Obviously, if it ended right now, that would not be the case. But I would love to see Philadelphia have to deal with Milwaukee. And to be honest with you, I don't know that I want to face the Dodgers and over Philadelphia because the Dodgers swept us earlier this year. They look really good. They have one of the highest payrolls in baseball, as do we, but theirs is exponentially bigger than everybody's. So, yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? I mean, again, I'm more of the let's run it back crowd. I want another shot at Philly, and I'll stick by that. The Mad Monk says, I did not see the game tonight, but I am pleased with the results. I'll check out the highlights later since I'm at work. You're tuning in while you're at work? I'm proud of you. If Michael Harris is back, I'm pleased with that as well. Yeah, man, he's back and he hit a grand slam. What else can you ask for, right? Thank you, Mad Monk, for watching while you're at work. I mean, what else can I ask for? If I could give you some kind of like sticker or something, I would. Corey Carter says, I'm not sure that Luke is a lock for the postseason roster. I agree with you. I think they're going to give him every chance possible to work things out. You know, I think Luke has always been a little bit worrisome on the mound, even in 21 when he had a great run. He's always been a little like, I'm going to keep one eye open kind of deal, one eye closed. He's just kind of hard to watch on the mound. And look, there's relievers that you feel that way with. Will Smith, for a while there, was kind of that way, even as our closer, prior to the postseason. Kenley Jansen was kind of that way, but nobody really embraces that as much as Luke Jackson. Look, and I've met Luke. I've interviewed him right after 21. Very nice guy, likable guy, and he's hard not to root for. And, you know, you want him to do well, but there is a bit, especially after these last few weeks, where you're kind of like, I don't know. I just don't know. It's tough. I think, Corey, you kind of hit the nail on the head when you said he's not a lock for the postseason roster. That could change. You know, before 2021's postseason, maybe a month or two before, we were going, I don't know about this bullpen. And all of a sudden, the night shift came, and, man, they were something, right? So, everybody can kind of have their highs and lows. Luke has had some lows, but tonight he looked good. You know, that's all we can say is tonight he looked good. Let's just hope that stays the case. Vision says, I have a confession. When Luke came out, I turned the TV off. Vision! I'm just kidding. Waited about 15 minutes and then went back and watched it and fast forward so I wouldn't stress. I can't say I blame you. I mean, I'm more of the I'm going to sit here and watch this play out even if my dreams are crushed type of attitude. If anybody, I hate to bring this up. If anybody remembers, you do, the 2019 Game 5 in LDS, Fultonevich pitching. I watched every out of that. I watched every single out of that, and it replays, you know. And to me, as a fan, you kind of have to sit through it. Even like the worry is part of it, right? It's like watching a movie. You wouldn't skip one of the most dramatic scenes in the movie. You'd watch it play out. That's how I am with relievers like Luke Jackson's, even starters sometimes, you know, that we're not so sure about. Not naming names. Luke Jackson, I think we're all kind of aware of. We know who he is. I do think that the Braves are going to be able to make him better than he was with the Giants. I definitely think that, just because they have a longer history with him. They know him a little more, and they obviously saw something to throw him into that trade. I don't know, though. You know, if he can somehow finish the year with a sub-2 ERA, you know, then this is worth it. I don't know. We've seen relievers come to the Braves before and been really successful after not being successful prior to where they were. Pierce Johnson is a great example. Hopefully that'll be the case with Luke over time. I don't know. You know, we'll see. Jake Hobby says Braves will likely wait until Phillies series to bring Lopez back. That's possible. I still do think Sunday is a possibility. We'll wait and see. I haven't been able to contact any of my insiders to get a report on that. But it's nice to know that he is hitting 97 on the gun now, which I didn't know before this. Corey, thank you. That is kind of a relief because, we didn't know if he was throwing. We didn't know if he'd be back in general. We felt like he would, but we didn't know for sure. Let's see. The Dixon Way says, hopefully Soler is healthy with a hamstring. That's the same injury Money Mike went on the 10-day AL that turned out to be not 3 months, Dixon, 2 months, but still, I get your point. 2 months gone. I would say that it's probably precautionary. The Braves tweeted that it's precautionary. And really, I do think it is. I think we'd know something a little more by now because we knew right after the game with Michael that it wasn't looking good. He was probably going to be out for a long time, right? And I think right now it is precautionary. Plus, you also got to think with Soler, there is a worry that because he hasn't played in the outfield much this year or at all prior to being with the Braves, that getting accustomed to that again is going to be difficult. And there is a legit concern there with injuries, with, obviously playing the field. There is going to be a case and a worry about injuries. So I think that it is precautionary. They don't want to risk anything because that is the biggest deal we made at the deadline. And really, that is a huge part of our offense right now. So they don't want to take any risk, and I don't blame them. So we'll see. A lot of folks in the chat all of a sudden. Really appreciate that. Tuning in late. I had a feeling I would see some of you guys late. I didn't know it would be 54 of you, though. So thank you for being here tonight. Remember, please do like the video. Really would appreciate it. And, of course, if you haven't already, please do subscribe. We do live streams here as much as we can. To be honest with you, this was not a planned one. We just came on because how could you not after a 13-2 win? So, again, thank you for being here. And, we'll see what happens. Let's see. The Mad Monk says, to be honest with you, Tyler, I wasn't expecting Chris Sale to be this healthy this late into the season, but it's a pleasant surprise, and his stats are definitely welcome. Yeah, I see Mass Boost asking you right after that, why wouldn't Sale be healthy? Well, if you look over the past few years, I remember Chris Sale being good back, almost 10 years ago now. Like, he was elite back in, 2014, 2015, right? And it's been a long time since then. And it's because he's had injuries after injuries after injuries. That is a legit concern with him. And was coming into the season. It was like, ugh. I mean, I remember people, when we made the trade with Vaughn Grissom, people are going, I mean, look, I mean, the resume's there, but, I mean, damaged goods. I mean, I remember a lot of people were concerned about it. He didn't even play in 2020 due to injury. He only had 5 starts in 21. He only had, or 6 starts. He only had, let me see. Actually, he had 2 starts in 22. He had 9 starts in 21. Last year, he had 20. He's already gotten more than that this year with 22. And he is leading the league in ERA. He's leading the league in wins. He's leading the league in ERA plus. He is leading the league in FIP. He is leading the league in strikeouts per 9. Yeah, the dude's back. And if you look back when he was really good, back from 2013 to 2017, all the stats that I just mentioned, with the exception of strikeouts, really, those are the stats he's leading in. ERA plus, FIP, strikeouts per 9. He's never led an ERA, but he is this year. So, I mean, yeah, injuries are a real factor with Chris Sale. There's no doubt about it, at least in his history. But look, I mean, if a change of scenery is what he needed, Atlanta was a good place to do it. We'll take it, and I think he's surprisingly kind of become, kind of our ace. And I hate to say it, but with the injuries to Fried, and obviously Strider being out, Morton, frankly, being 40, I mean, he's kind of been that guy, and hopefully that'll be the case not only this year, but also next and after that. And I say this with the success of Sale, gosh, it just makes you look at the starting rotation and go, man, if only Strider was healthy, right? You'd have Strider at the top, Sale right behind, Max Fried, Charlie Morton, Reynaldo Lopez, with Schwellenbach and Grant Holmes there following. Man, wouldn't that be something? And if they weren't there following, they'd probably be in the bullpen or somewhere. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I hate the way this season has gone in a way, because we didn't get to see the full potential. We talked about this last week in my Defense of Brian Snicker video. For those of you that liked it, you're welcome. For those of you that didn't, I'm sorry. But in that video, we talked about, look, this was the opening day roster, right? And this is what Snit has had to deal with, like 8 losses of starters, whether it be in the rotation or in the field. I mean, that is a big deal. So I hate that in a way. I wish that, Sale would have been able to do this in a stronger rotation with the addition of Spencer Strider. As good as the rotation has been, which it has, it would have been that much better with Spencer Strider leading the way. The Dixon Away says, I've been saying that I'm not concerned with the division. I want us to get winning baseball and going into the playoffs hot instead of resting everyone and coming in cold like the past 2 seasons. Well, to give the Braves some credit, they did what they could last year. I mean, they tried the, we're going to invite the fans in for a practice. But, look, I was there. It's not the same. It's just not. But they tried. They did what they could. I'm interested to see what the Phillies do with it, to be honest with you, because it would be hilarious, absolutely hilarious, if they go into the first round of the playoffs, they fall in the first round of the playoffs, let's just say to us or the Brewers or whoever, and then all of a sudden Phillies fans are crying about, well, we need to change the playoff format. Nope, we figured it out, guys. We figured it out. This is the right way to do it, because that's what I've been saying, and I got absolutely crapped on last year, by a multitude of fan bases for even suggesting that the playoff format could be adjusted, even though the majority of Major League Baseball players say that the playoff format needs to be adjusted. The majority of baseball managers say that the playoff format needs to be adjusted. The only one that hasn't said it is, I bet you can guess who hasn't said it, the commissioner of Major League Baseball. So, yeah, I mean, that's just where I'm at, right? In my opinion, and really, it's mainly due to what I've seen with the Braves the past 2 years. I mean, you're talking about one of the best offenses in the game ever last year, and then they're dead come postseason, right? I don't think that makes any sense. But what do I know, right? I just run a YouTube channel. I just watch every day. What do I know? Let's see. Scooter Puff says, I say if the Braves do manage to get hot and make a postseason run this season with our dozens of injuries, I'd say it would rank among the greatest seasons of all time. So much adversity to overcome. I don't agree. I don't disagree with that. I don't know if it'd be the greatest seasons of all time by some standards. I definitely think in terms of overcoming stuff, I would agree with that. Greatest seasons, everybody's going to point to either last year or 2021. If they make a deep playoff run and they somehow win the World Series, that'll be one of the greatest postseason runs, no doubt about it. I think 21 definitely is, just with the loss of Acuna halfway through the season and the trade deadline acquisitions and the way it all worked out. I mean, you couldn't script that any better, really. But with all of what the Braves lost, if the players that we do have all of a sudden come back, get healthy, or come back and, like Matt Olson and Riley seem to be doing right now, and just perform like they're expected to, and then they make a deep playoff run, yeah, that'll be one of the greats for sure. Miguel says, if Soler got hurt, we're in trouble. We don't. I don't know what you're going with that. What you're saying there. We don't need players who like taking walks. Yeah, I mean, look, to your earlier point, if Soler's hurt, we're in trouble, but there's a lot of people that didn't want Soler at all, so maybe they're right. I don't know. We'll see. Keith Parker says, I don't expect Ozzy to be back this year. Well, hold on, Keith. Hold on, because we heard from Ozzy Albies himself that he's probably coming back sooner than expected. And I think that's what we're all hoping for. I think that's what you're hoping for. But, I think he's ahead of schedule, and we can only hope that you're wrong and the Braves are right. We'll see. Corey Carter says Ozzy needs to drink more milk or eat his Wheaties, one or the other. Let's see. Miguel says, hey, Tyler, what is the value for the Braves? No speed, no contact, no hitting, no defense. I don't really understand your question there, to be honest with you, in terms of what is the value. They definitely have power. That is not a problem. Speed, I'll give you. I think they got some of that back with Harris tonight. They'll get some of that back with Ozzy. But without Acuna, I mean, that's where we're at. No contact. I would say Whit Merrifield is good at that. Arcia is good at that. Harris is good at that. Your power bats are going to be fluctuating for sure. I'd say Kelnick has been pretty good in terms of contact this year. No hitting, I would disagree with, especially after a 13-2 win. No defense, I would disagree with after getting Harris back for sure. A lot of folks in here tonight really do appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and scroll down. Silent Fart, which, by the way, is a great name. I love that. It says, guys, we are back. ... I think that's about where I'm at. Carlos Paulino says, exactly, not the 5th or any other date, but you're the one that came up with an hour. Okay, so you're on another conversation. We're going to scroll back up. Corey Carter says, I wouldn't be surprised if we gave Adam Duvall the Eddie Rosario treatment before the end of the year. That's a valuable roster spot. I think they're going to give him every chance possible just because, I mean, look, Adam Duvall should have probably been signed to a $10 million deal this year, and he took a significant downstep in payment, and I think we're starting to see why. No team wanted him, per se, for that money. The Braves were the one team that he was willing to come to for the price that he was being offered, and there's something admirable about that. But that said, I do think at some point a result's going to have to happen before he's DFA'd. I definitely think that. And really, look, we've seen Duvall's a 220 hitter, right? But usually there's home runs with it. I think playing at Fenway really helped him, having the green monster in left where, routine pop flies all of a sudden become doubles. I do think that. But we also saw him perform really well in 2021. He was a World Series hero. He had a grand slam in the World Series. There's not that many of those. He's had a tough go at it this year, but we've also seen Adam Duvall be the guy who has a tough go, goes to the minors, stays in the minors for months, and earns his way back, no complaints. So the Braves and Snit specifically are going to value that. He's a good clubhouse guy. I was there the day he got brought in back in spring training, and everybody was excited to see him. So, there is that. And I'm not saying that's what matters. I'm just saying there is an aspect of that. But there is going to have to be some results on the field and specifically at the plate. You're right. It is a valuable roster spot. We saw, I think Eli White it was that went down yesterday. I thought he's been pretty good in the field. He made a great catch the other night. So, you're right. You hate to see it, but at some point, yeah, if results aren't there ahead of the playoffs, you're going to have to make a decision. Silent Fart says, once Ozzy comes back, it's over for the league. We will see. Lot of folks in here tonight. Lot of folks having conversations without me. It's just between you guys. I don't even need to be here. Thank you, Jeffrey. Appreciate you. I think we've answered just about everybody. I'm going to scoot up a little bit. Let's see. Mad Monk says, getting rid of Philadelphia as soon as possible is what I prescribed. I would love to see it. Yeah, I mean, that's why I said I want to take them on pretty much as soon as we can in the playoffs. I'd rather just get it out of the way. I mean, maybe even if we could face them in the second round after we face somebody else, I would like that. That way they're cold and we're hot. I'd actually kind of enjoy that. The sadistic part of me would. But, we'll see. One other thing I wanted to talk about tonight, and then we're gonna wrap this up. Some of you may remember this guy, Kyle Muller, the Bulldozer, back for the AAA Braves. Of course, was traded to the Oakland A's. He was DFA'd by Oakland today, early today, well before this video has been put out. But he was designated for assignment by the Oakland A's. And I really wanted to talk about this because Kyle Muller was a guy who I really thought could be a future piece of the Braves. And a lot of folks, thought that too. And that's why he was a valuable trade piece when we traded him. He has not quite been the same since leaving the Braves. He hasn't quite been what he was and where he was on the prospect list and where he was in the organization. I'm a believer, frankly, that being in Oakland has something to do with that. And really, I wouldn't be opposed to the Braves picking up that option and picking him up on a minor league deal and letting him work on stuff down in the minors, because this is a guy who, when he was with the Braves, had everything going for him, and he was really good with Atlanta. He was sent to Oakland, things changed. And it's, a lot of folks are going to say, well, Tyler, Oakland's pretty good at developing players, and I agree with that, but I just think that being in a certain type of environment could help or hurt you, and I think being in Oakland has hurt Kyle Muller. I would personally like to see Atlanta come back. Like Mass Boost says, he's got a 407 FIP and a 391 xFIP for Muller. This year is worth a risk. Look, I'm just saying, I'm not saying put him on the major league roster. I'm saying pull him in and bring him back to Atlanta, let him go to the minors, and give him a shot, because I think Kyle Muller could very well be a solid piece, maybe not of the rotation, but at least of the bullpen. And again, I know some of you are going to say, well, Tyler, look at Oakland. They got a guy like Mason Miller who's come up and they've developed him. Mason Miller's a once-in-a-lifetime talent. Maybe not once in a lifetime, but once in a blue moon talent for sure. Kyle Muller, I think if you work on him and develop him, could be the guy he once was at least. And again, like Mass Boost says, is worth the risk. And, he's definitely worth talking about. I think he's a hard worker. I think he's got stuff. I think he's got the right type of attitude to be a reliever. I think a minor league contract should be in his future, if not in Atlanta, somewhere. And really, I would like to see the Braves pick him back up. And this is not the first time it would happen. We've seen Colby Allard got picked up after having a terrible time in Texas. So if that can happen, why can't Kyle Muller get a shot? And it's not like we're full of great prospects at the moment. Wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to get one back. That's just kind of how I feel about it. That said, guys, we're going to wrap it up. We really appreciate you being here tonight. Again, thank you for liking the video if you have. Thank you for subscribing if you have. Thank you for hitting the bell for notifications so that you can stay updated with everything going on here at On Deck and, of course, with your Atlanta Braves. One more thank you goes to our sponsor, Glenn Smith Chevrolet GMC in Opelika. Next time you need a new vehicle, go check those guys out. They're going to give you the best Chevrolet or GMC for the best price. Again, they are in Opelika, Alabama. You will not find nicer folks, I can promise you that. One more thing, if you would, go follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I post just about every day to one of those. You can see the handle down there below. Again, that's Twitter and Instagram. You can message me there. You can tweet me there. Whatever you want to do, you can do it there. And again, thank you for being here tonight. Really do appreciate it. We'll see you next time right here at On Deck.
Baseball fans, make sure you like and share this video and subscribe to this channel. As always, thank you for your support.